Hey everyone, welcome to First Impressions. My name is Rob Beeler, and this is one of my favorite things in the world to do, which is an ad tech unboxing video where I get to talk to people who've created some new tech, have some new products, and dive into what makes them interesting, why people should consider it, and create a little piece of content here so that we can add it to our library and help publishers make decisions in terms of who they should be partnering with. Today's interesting because it's not just one company. I've got two. I've got FatTail and I've got Bucksense, and they're going to be talking about Deals Marketplace, which again, like bringing these two sides, the buy side and the sell side, is so important for us to discuss that I'm excited about kind of hearing how this goes. Want to set the stage though. Think it makes sense for us to have Steve, if you don't mind, introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about FatTail.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Appreciate that introduction. And I'm so glad that Christian from Bucksense can join us. I'm Steve Pelletier. I am in charge of strategic partnerships and corp dev. And FatTail has been around for longer than I care to admit, over 20 years. We help power direct advertising for brand publisher partners. I won't get into all the details about our business, but I will say that our mission is to help facilitate ad ops so that you can support higher revenues, better sales with minimal human resources.
Fantastic. Christian, have you been around for 20? Well, you've been around for 20 years, but has Bucksense been around for 20 years?
Almost there. Thank you for having me. Bucksense has been around for 12 years. I'm the CEO and founder of the company. Our main objective as a company is to empower publishers to have technology and knowledge to open a self-serve path toward the advertiser and their inventory. So we have been mostly focused on this. We developed software and experience on how to build this channel that is so used from advertiser of any kind on other big players, but publisher are starting to pick up this trend.
Well, that's a key piece of this, right? Is if we make it easier for buyers to buy, and they have many ways to do it much easier than doing the traditional media insertion order or even programmatic direct. These things are quite manual. So that's why I think, Steve, like, set the stage. What is Deals Marketplace? What have you been working with Bucksense on?
Yep, for sure. So Deals Marketplace is a little bit broader than just what we're doing with our partner Bucksense. It is a central place that enables and governs electronic deal origination and execution. And it works through any demand channel or point of sale. So it could be programmatically or non-programmatically or otherwise. It is a layer that allows buying platforms like the D2P publisher platform that Bucksense has built to access curated brand publisher products, inventory, and prices, all to support deal discovery, deal execution, and higher revenue.
There's some key things to that. We're going to be unpacking over the course of that, but I think you hit on that. But if you were to say, like, okay, I like all that you just said, but what is kind of the problem that you're really trying to solve here? What is it that, boil it down for me?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately better and easier revenue generation, Rob, but I think a great way to look at the problem is some quotes that we have captured as we've been speaking to folks in the market. I'll just paraphrase a few of them if you don't mind. One of them is that it is really hard and time consuming to manage most self-serve initiatives. Therefore, we don't make as much money as we could. Another quote, we've heard it several times. I'm tired of talking and hearing about supply path optimization. I want demand path optimization. I want to have control over what we sell and who we sell it to. And then the last one is, we just don't have the resources to dedicate to managing orders and revenue in disparate systems.
I think that's right. And I'm going to come back to a word that you used about deal discovery. That to me is a core piece that I think, as someone that has worked with like the FatTail order management system and I've got efficiency once the deal comes in, but I'm continually, even as an operations person, is going like, how do we get more deals coming in? That sounds like a sales piece. And again, self-serve to any of these pieces becomes, how do we make it just, again, easier for buyers to buy? And so I think it'd be great to start to see how to make that happen. And so I think, Al, you were going to walk us through really what that looks like.
That's right.
Okay. By the way,
Okay.
this is Alvaro Villa from FatTail.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm the sales guy. Hey, everyone. All right. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So as Steve mentioned, our goal is to be able to curate what products get sold where, but the challenge has been that in the past, that has required a bit of double entry, a bit of extra management that you just shouldn't have. And so what we decided is the OMS is a central location where your business is done today. Why not extend the capabilities that already exist there and make it easy for you to control everything in a single place? And so we've done that, and this is what I'm going to show you in the deals marketplace. And one of the ways that we've done that is with this notion of a profile for a buyer. And so what we allow you to do is not to create just one profile for external buying, but you can have different profiles for different execution paths. So as you can see here, we have an example of a profile for a DSP, as well as a profile for a self-serve buyer that we're going to actually take a look at today. And what we enable you to do as you're setting this up is to be able to put in some information about, to the deals marketplace about what this profile represents. Do we have any kind of minimum spend that we want to add in? If you're showing availability, how much of the actual availability are you making available? Is it going to be 100% of your avails? Or are you going to drop it down to something like, an 80% availability? And also, what buying systems are actually able to buy under this profile? So as you can see here, we've made it so that the Bucksense self-service buyer that we have is the only one available for this profile. There's also workflow components. As you know, if you have an OMS, there is workflow that you have for direct sold deals. There's workflow that you might have for programmatic, and those may vary, or they may be the same. And so what we can do is enable you to decide your landing point, what rate card is being used for a given profile. So if you want to have different rates for different execution channels, you can have that. And so this enables you to kind of set you on the correct workflow paths, give you the right prices. And then what we do is allow you to use the product catalog that you already have in your OMS and be able to assign a product or many products to one or multiple profiles. And so you can see here, as we go to Deals Marketplace, that we have the ability to have something like a friendly name to the product. Sorry. So you can see here that the name of the product internally is different than what is being shown to the buying system. We can categorize the type of product. Is it display? Is it video? Is it native, etc.? And then we can meta tag characteristics of the product that can be made available to the buying system so that they can then filter products and make discovery easier for the buyer in whichever buying system is in there. You can also choose the execution channel as well, so that this particular product can be chosen as being sold as self-serve only, or as available for like an agency system, or available for a DSP, or any kind of grouping that makes the most sense for you. So the idea here, kind of to wrap up, is that we give you the control in the place where you're already managing all of your products, and allow you to pick and choose which products can be presented where, so you have confidence that you're allowing your product suite to be made available in a way that you have full control over. And what we're going to do now is actually show you what that looks like inside of a self-serve buying system that is connected to this instance.
Yeah, Christian, you want to just show us what it looks like once it's on your side?
Absolutely. You guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is an example on how a self-serve platform could look like for a publisher. Obviously, here the look and feel, the domain, and the way the interface is presented we work with the publisher in order that it gets with the right logos and the right domain. It's crucial for a self-serve platform to be successful, to give the real sense that they're buying directly from the source. And this is one of the key points of the relationship between direct relationship between advertiser and the publisher itself. And so we customize the entire interface in terms of color, logo, and other functionality. People register to the self-serve. They can ask access by invitation, or they can simply register. Obviously, the publisher decides who can have access or not. And then here you have the same flow where you can easily, without interacting with a person, go through your opportunities that you could buy from that publisher. So let's make an example. I could buy here from direct sales. And here I'm presented what is made available from AdBook behind the scene, right? And I decide what is available on my direct sales. Let's say I choose travel and lifestyle. All these images are coming from our system to make it prettier and user-friendly to obviously sell and select. And here I go through very simple steps in order to get to my purchase experience. All the forms and shapes on how things are ordered and asked can be configurable. So here as a buyer, I'm going here and I'm configuring what is the name of my campaign, where it's supposed to go. We also do obvious stuff like tracking where if I want to use Google Analytics tags, choose the runtime I want. Let's say I want to do October for the entire month of October. And then here it comes the deep integration with AdBook, where we get the information configured on the AdBook side, what Al was showing, and I can have all my filters and decision on what I can see that is available to the self-serve for me to buy. Let's say I choose this one and keep going ahead. And here I go to the credit part. So I choose where I want to buy, and now I decide which credit I wanna upload, and I can do it in multiple ways. These are the dimensions that are available on that segment I just purchased. So I can upload a series of one type of banner. If I need to, the system also helps you to cut the banners if they're not in the right size. The self-serve offers you some functionality to adapt the banner to the publisher need, or makes a selection if the quality is not good enough. And then here you go to the budget side. Again, this is all taken from the AdBook backend, where you have a summary of what the publisher decided to make available. You see the budget and so on. And I can obviously go here and decide, no, I want to do 1,000 impression or views, and it calculates automatically the budget, what is the availability in total, and I save. And this will go directly in through the AdBook pipes and to the publisher. And I can do this all the time I want. I can be a returning customer. I can check my stats and do all the things that today are done via email or via the phone many times every time I purchase something. And again, the goal is to make it simple, as we said at the beginning of the webinar.
This is great. And Christian, I definitely going to have some questions for you.
Sure.
But it seems like you've hit send. Al, we're now back on your side of the fence, if you will.
Yeah. So you can see here I've logged in. I created a user for the Bucksense, and I can see under recently edited campaigns, the deal has come in. Information about the order, it came in the campaign status that we configured as part of that profile configuration that I meant. And then you can see that the line item is that run of travel and leisure, where there's also that internal name that you might have set up in your product catalog for your internal usage. So again, it doesn't have to have that same name, but we've got that 10.1 to 1031 million impressions, and it comes all the way through. And at this point, you're just doing regular AdBook workflow. Right.
Well, you hit on that a couple of times, and I think that's so key, right? So I think as an operations person, I have spent a lot of time working out what our products are on the back end so I can fulfill on them, right? And worked out the rules and the logic from billing all the way through, right? And what you're saying is use that same product, so I don't have to recreate a whole new media path. I'm using existing, functionality, capabilities, and fulfillment, right, on that front. And then I'm just able to sit there and go, let me put a name on that makes sense to someone as a client, right? And then that gets pushed through. Bucksense sees that. And I think the part there then becomes this idea that discoverability, right? Someone comes into Bucksense with the idea of going, I'm looking for a unique opportunity or to work with someone in particular, right? And it's going to speak their language. Because I think that's what's lost, right? It's really a translation issue between the buy side and the sell side that causes us to send 20 emails back and forth on an insertion order deal, right? We're continually, this is basically said, I'm going to take what I built my business around and putting it into a place that speaks that language of a buyer and allows them to do that. And it's interesting because my first reaction to Al, just again, thanks guys for letting me kind of let this wash over me as I'm thinking this through, right? Is Al, you were like, you can have different names for different places and whatever. And part of me at first, I'm sitting there thinking about like sometimes publishers make the mistake of essentially offering their inventory in many ways in many different places. But it's more about if I'm using the order management system as my record of truth of my products, how I go out is very much more a concentrated thing. It's something of intent, it's being intentional versus it being kind of a mistake of just being all over the place. So I like that kind of flexibility to say that in the Bucksense environment, I'm going to provide this to another customer or through self-serve. I might be doing it in kind of a little bit different way. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And it's actually an evolution of what we had already been doing. For direct sold deals, we've always had the capability to do an aliasing capability for like agencies because they call it different than what you're calling it internally for your reporting. And so the idea that you make it available to an external system is just logical. It's just that now we're automating it so that the external system pulls it in whichever way that they want. And it's something that can be updated, by the way. So if they wanted to change the name and maybe give it a little bit different of a flair, it doesn't have to be the same thing that goes into the line item as what goes into the the product itself. So it is something that's also editable if you wanted to say add in additional details to it for that particular order. That'd be probably something a little bit more advanced than the self-serve that we're talking about in this case, but it is a capability that exists for other types of buying experiences.
Yeah. And Christian, from your perspective of just again the buyer side of this, can you just talk to like the importance of, I mean, again, what I saw that you put together was like elegant, right? This isn't about sending spreadsheets over or whatever. There was kind of a process to that. You've done a lot of work in this area. How important is it to make this for buyers to have a good experience as they go and try to discover things that, I'm going to say it, that aren't Facebook or Google, and kind of those particular pieces?
Well, you hit the spot. I mean, the majority of the ad spent is spent on social platform, and advertisers are used to go there and find a platform that is fairly known and has a lot of support, and they definitely lack availability of time, right? So if they need to and they want to differentiate their spend, they need to have a similar experience as easy as possible. And today you need to be able to book something with a publisher technically without having phone interaction, email interaction, and definitely not Excel files. And so having a path where you can discover, first of all, and get idea of projection, and then book something that you finally search, it's crucial. And the same thing should be happening from a publisher perspective, because I think that's what the norm is today out there. And that's what the self-serve is there for.
Yeah, I think Steve, Al, please.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to add, I didn't show the page because it's just a configuration and it's kind of a boring page, but there is, when you configure for opting into the deals marketplace, a general workflow setting that you choose what stage gets approved, what stage reserves inventory, and what stage declines it. So that information goes back to the buying system so that there can be workflow between the two systems. So if you say, hey, something's wrong with this order and you push it to a decline, Bucksense will know which ad book status is, will trigger that and can trigger kind of a negotiation.
Well, that to me sounds like one less, like that's letting the system do the back and forth as opposed to, again, waiting for someone to alert and so forth. So I love that sense of automation. I do have some more technical questions for you, Al, but I wanted to go to Steve only because I'm sitting here thinking about this. Again, is FatTail, and to your point, been around for a long time, focused on the order management platform and that system. And this feels like kind of an evolution, if you will, or an extension. Again, we're just not going like, once something is sold, let's get this, delivered and fulfilled. And now you're sitting there kind of, well, I mean, I don't know if this is a strong word, but like a channel, right? It suddenly becomes kind of a way in. Can you talk to, again, like, is that the direction that FatTail is going with this? Is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, channel management, 100%. That is a good way to describe what Deals Marketplace is. And today we're focusing on self-serve as one of those channels. And again, the easier you can make it to manage it, and the easier you can make it for the buyers to discover and execute, the more money, less cost you're going to have. Simple. But there are other use cases here that Deals Marketplace does support. For example, it could connect to DSPs, which, by the way, Bucksense has one. Or it could connect to an agency system like what an HMX or a Strata has. So it's all meant to be an easy way to open up additional channels for automation, shorten the supply path. Actually, let's call it shorten the demand path, to quote our colleagues, and just build and drive more revenue.
Right. It's, again, what I'm hearing there, right, is just this idea that, again, I could take what I have and I can start to put it out and start. I mean, again, I feel like as a publisher, I should be starting to talk to you about that and go, what about this scenario? Could it make it available to X, right? And then that's just a matter of connecting those pieces. Most of what's needed to make it happen has already been built because I'm already using an order management system, which really super direct question. Do I have to be a FatTail client to be involved in Deals Marketplace? Is that the roadmap to involve others, or like, is this one of the strengths of why you want to use FatTail?
Well, certainly if you're a FatTail customer, it's easy to turn on. Al can have you up and running in about 30 seconds. But if you're not, we do have a way to make it possible. Essentially, a short, small implementation of what we call a light version of our OMS that you don't have to use as your central OMS, that has some connection points to your publisher backend, connects to a system like Bucksense, and it will, I call it, be an order catcher. It is a revenue catcher, an order catcher, right? That will route directly back into whatever OMS you have.
So, that to me is a message kind of to the market, to our publishers, right? That this becomes something, again, like, obviously there are going to be advantages to being a FatTail client, but really one way to think about this, at least my opinion on this, is that if more publishers are participating, the more people that are using a Bucksense, other areas, and there's more ability to discover things, right? There is some strength in numbers here, right? If we start to put out to market again, it all comes down to that main thing, being easier to buy.
Yep.
If it's easier for them to transact with you, we all get more money. It more comes our direction. At some point, we get to compete. But I'd rather have us compete than compete with the Googles and the Facebooks and not even see that money coming in, or us being in the consideration set. We have to perform, but I want to at least be considered so I can try to perform.
100%. So there is advantages if you're an ad book customer. If you're considering an OMS, this is an additional capability that might tip your decision in our favor, but it doesn't have to be, for sure. And then to your just recent point, Bucksense and FatTail are working together to create a unified interface where publishers could put some inventory out there. And this is more of a central location where buyers can come in and perhaps create an order with thebestgolf.com, and could also possibly create an order with, I don't know, Condé Nast, a Allure magazine. So all could happen in a single spot.
where they can all kind of see all of that together.
Yeah.
And then finishing one aspect of it, Al, with you is, I'm assuming then the way that you kind of position this is all the stuff in my media library. So this is newsletters, native video. That part isn't the issue, right?
Correct.
It's got to get kind of pushed through and so forth so that it's available in Bucksense.
Yes.
Rob, sorry, go ahead.
Steve exaggerated a little bit on the 5 minutes, but it's not that much more. I mean, literally all we have to do is set up kind of the different buyer profiles that you want. And then you need to add a few attributes to your already existing product catalog if you're a FatTail customer. And, you know, once activated, the buying system will be able to see what you've allowed them to see.
I think what we'll do is we'll go back and edit that, and we'll just have, well, you know, I'll get Alpha another number, and we'll just sit there so that you're not caught on the 30-second guarantee.
What I wanted to
Steve.
say, Rob, sorry, is that you hit on another really interesting point, which is this can support not just digital media, it can be sponsorships, newsletters, other kinds of things. And in fact, I'll plug our partner here a little bit, but this is, I don't know if the audience will see it, but the first self-serve platform that could execute programmatically or non-programmatically. There can be an option. If the publisher has the capability, they want to turn it on, buyer can come in and execute a guaranteed programmatic deal through the existing programmatic pipes.
And so, right, Christian, for you then, right, again, you're with the buyers that are using your platform, they just have more of those options available to them, and they get to kind of see and compose something. And, you know, it'd be great, right? Like we get to the point where there's less of a sending a publisher an RFP and more, why don't I go right into a platform and get all the pieces I want in one place? So it's essentially, I won't say completely one transaction, but it is kind of one deal potentially, right?
It is one deal, and it's one place to discover what the publisher has specifically for me. You can start building profiles for different advertisers based on what industry they work for, so that the things they see, it's even more profiled, right? If you are even in the travel business, the little demo we did, it's there is cruisers that are completely different from tour operators or hotel buyers. So there is very specific, and there is the intelligence down behind to be able to be even more simplified on that aspect. And I think the fact that it's heavily integrated with the ad book technology, it guarantees there is not a single door that self-serve stays there and it doesn't collaborate with the rest of the system. Those are the self-serve platforms that fail. In order to succeed, they need to be a part, they need to be one of the weapons that the publisher has to bring the money in, and they have to collaborate between themselves. That's
great. That's great. So I'm going to feed this back to you guys. You can tell me if I'm missing or I've got anything off or wrong on this. I have an order management system. I have existing products to which I have been selling manually, you know, directly and so forth, maybe even programmatically. I've got my product set. With Deals Marketplace, I'm able to take that existing product set, label it in a way that again is let's say outward facing, right? Yep. So it doesn't have to be my technical terms for it, and make that available not just in Bucksense, but like I'm able to go into marketplaces and connect up that product. Again, I may have said that quite as articulate as you guys have, but I'm going to be able to sit there and get my products out into where buyers are buying and transacting, right? That's ultimately where this is going, so that I'm outwardly facing and pushing my inventory out there. And because once that buyer transacts, it's already into my system, and I get the efficiency of just collecting. I love the order catcher, the revenue catcher concept. It just kind of pulls that stuff into my ordinary workflow, you know, or not. Again, I can adjust all of these things, Al, to your point earlier, that says this should go to a different category, whatever. But again, it just sounds like building out this efficiency piece of it. And where I would say I'd leave it with the publishers is to come in and talk to you, Bucksense and FatTail, about your use cases. Could it do this? Could it do that? How about this? Could I make that? And those are the parts that get interesting in terms of actually, again, driving this efficiency. That's understanding the thing. one, where was I off on that? I know I stumbled there for a second, but Al, do you want to take that?
I think it's mostly right. I think that the part I'd reiterate is that it's specifically curated for the buying channels that you have configured, not only in which products are made available, but also in which rate cards are being used. So using Christian's example, you can have a cruise ship rate card, versus a hotel rate card if travel was your vertical. And then not only that, you can make availability. Like, the idea here is we want ops to be comfortable with the amount of control that they can put in on the back end so that they make this available and not have to worry about something being wrong, right? And so, and in addition to that, as you update your rate cards from 22 to 23, you do it in the OMS. It automatically flows through to the buying systems. You don't have to do it twice. And so there's that efficiency of doing these things in the one place where you're already doing them and just having that control kind of flow out to the external world.
Great.
Let me just add,
Please.
likewise with availability, as availability changes over time, every time the connection is made to the marketplace from, for example, Bucksense, those availabilities get updated. So maybe what was available for Q4 yesterday is no longer available today because Beeler.Tech purchased a whole block of inventory, right? Could very well be. Or
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
That's
Go
right.
ahead. Yes.
Or it could be even another point, which is as you maybe change your product catalog, maybe some things are no longer available. You disconnected an ad book, which you need to do anyway. You don't have to disconnect it anywhere else. It already is gone from there.
You just hit on something I can remember in the old days of doing, and just suddenly seeing an order come in from a product that no longer existed and then having to deal with that.
It happens all the time, and not just in this concept, but a lot with, and one of the issues with programmatic deals is that these deals get posted manually. They sit out there for 6 months. Then finally you have like Microsoft coming in. Oh, that's perfect. No longer available.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all central and all processes through the stream, ultimately to the buying system connection.
That's great. I'm going to wrap up. I want to hit one quick thing that Al said about operations confidence. What's really interesting about that, right? And again, I'm maybe a little self-serving because I mostly focus on an operations audience, but there's an aspect of this of like, if I know that I can do this, like I know that it's going to work, right? My confidence in sitting there going like, this is essentially another salesperson out selling, but I don't have to train them on all the paperwork or whatever. It's actually in my terms, I think suddenly opens up some real, like, let's give this a shot. So I really like that. Christian, if someone is interested in talking about Bucksense and what you do, who should they contact or how should they contact you?
Well, they can contact me or sales@bucksense.com. And we're happy to hear any ideas.
Fantastic. Steve, if I need to talk to FatTail a little bit more about this or the order management system, I talk to Al. So he's under here for there. So Al, what's your information? What's the best email address to use?
Yeah, you can email me directly at avilla@fattail.com or info@fattail.com.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks for the conversation, guys. I really do appreciate kind of walking through it. I think there's something really interesting and exciting here. And again, if it just brings me more revenue in a very efficient way, I think that's pretty much on a daily basis what publishers are asking for. So really appreciate the effort. And I guess if anything, Steve, thinking a little further what the order management system can truly be, right? And what this kind of platform, what you've built can become for publishers.
100%. Externalizing some of the key functionality around revenue with complete control internally.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and really appreciate it, and stay tuned for the next First Impressions.